First at 6, Air Force 2 landing in Grand Rapids carrying Vice President Mike Pence. He walked in the 4th of July parade right here in West Michigan.
24-hour News 8's political reporter Rick Albin was the only television reporter to ride along the Grandville parade route with the vice president. Rick's with us live in studio. And Rick, you don't get a lot of firsts after many years of covering politics. You had one today.
Well, you're right about that, Leon. I'll take that as a compliment, but it's true. This was the first time I'd been in that bubble for that long. Is the big question, though, and you know this too, Leon, because we were working on it all week. Is he or isn't he? That was the question for nearly a week before the vice president's visit. There was none of the usual notification or protocol. It was unusual, but it was also strategic when it comes to holding the base on issues like health care repeal and replacement. The 4th of July parade in Grandville always draws a big crowd, but the question I put to Congressman Bill Huizenga, who represents the area, is how would that crowd react? When you think of the political division that is very alive in this country, what do you expect this to be like in an open-air parade?
Yeah, I hope it's going to be, and expect it, frankly, to be cordial and welcoming. It is the sitting Vice President of the United States of America.
And almost without exception, the crowd performed up to the congressman's expectations. Signs silently proclaiming health care is a human right pointed to the angst over the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as it is known. The vice president talked about where he thinks health care is headed.
On health care reform, you better believe it. This president is in the promise-keeping business.
But health care, more specifically repealing and replacing the ACA, is a promise that has eluded the administration. Still, the vice president is optimistic, so much so that he thinks it could happen sooner rather than later.
Before this summer's out, I think we're going to finally repeal and replace Obamacare, and we're going to give the American people the kind of world-class health care that they deserve.
Exactly what that looks like is unclear, because when official Washington took their 4th of July break, it was at a time that a consensus could not be reached among Republicans. But the vice president was clear about what he wants in any bill moving forward.
That's built on the principles of individual responsibility, free markets, and allowing states like Michigan to reform their Medicaid programs in ways that will meet the needs of the most vulnerable.
As I said, the vice president is optimistic, but the clock is working against him. Lawmakers will return to Washington only briefly before the August break, meaning they'll have only days to achieve what they haven't been able to in 4 months.
Wow. And not just any 4th of July for the vice president, his first 4th of July as vice president. Why here in West Michigan? Why now?
Well, I think there are a lot of reasons. He has a relationship with Congressman Huizenga. They won the state of Michigan for the first time in 30-some years, and it will be strategic for the 2020 election going forward. If the Trump-Pence team wants to win again, they're going to have to win Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. I'm a broken record, but that's always the case. And I think Michigan becomes strategic, remembering, too, it was a narrow victory here. So there's some of that, and there could well be some geography in play. He was just down the road, we're told, perhaps vacationing in his home state of Indiana.
Okay, thinking way ahead there. Heather.
All right, thanks for the insight. And we first reported more than a week ago that this visit could happen today. That news helped bring out a huge crowd today. Among those in the crowd were hundreds of kids, and I talked with some of them who got to meet the sitting vice president of the United States, and they have the pictures to prove it. Music, candy, performances, those are the typical reasons kids like parades. But today, children as young as 8 were giddy at the Grandville parade after they got to meet a sitting vice president. Was this the best time? Why is that?
Because I got to meet the vice president.
Marla and Steve Maring brought their grandsons to the parade as a fun 4th of July event. They had no idea they would get a picture and be able to chat with Vice President Pence and his wife.
I just told her they were doing an awesome job.
Delaney and her grandmother were up close with the VP as well. Did he say anything to you?
He said, hello, how are you?
This cell phone picture captured the moment that she says she will always remember.
And I remembered when I was a little girl that the Kennedy-Nixon train had come through Grand Rapids, and I had seen it, and I thought it would be such a great memory for Delaney to be able to see this today.
The Vice President Pence, he tweeted out these pictures after his trip here with the caption, "Thanks to all in Grandville for a patriotic 4th of July parade. Karen and I loved visiting, and thank you to all those who have fought and continue to defend the liberty and freedom we celebrate today. Our coverage continues right now on woodtv.com. You can look through all of our photo galleries. Maybe we have a picture of you from today's parade.